Samson Newton is the principal attorney of Newton Samson Legal Practice. He graduated from the prestigious Barr University in Ogun State, Nigeria in 2010 and proceeded to the Nigerian Law School, Enugu campus. He was called to the Nigerian Bar in 2012. He proceeded further to obtain his master's degree from the University of Lagos. He is a vibrant advocate of the protection and preservation of fundamental human rights and a stern believer that all rights should be inclusive. Despite the nature of Nigerian democracy, he stands as person for the less privileged and a defender of rights. Join me as we welcome Barrister Samson Newton. Welcome to the show. So now we're going to be asking a very important question now, but I would want to put this scenario. There is this child that the parent is always beating, like at any given mistake, every mistake, any slight mistake, she receives a big slap, big blow, or gets abusive words. Now, I don't say that they are not trying to correct or discipline that child. I'm not trying to dispute that fact. But I believe there is a thin line. There's a thin line between discipline and abuse. You know, at what point would you say legally that a parent has abused the child? We're not talking sexually now, we're talking about domestic violence. So at what point would you say that a parent has actually abused the child?
Thank you very much. Thank you once again for having me around. The thin line between discipline and abuse. Okay, so in my course of trying to get some facts and figures on this topic, I came across an article written by a psychologist that said in simple terms, when discipline crosses into abuse is when it leaves either a physical or an emotional trauma on the child. Okay. So what do you mean by physical and emotional trauma? It means that when there is an obvious evidence of a child being hit. So like you're talking about lacerations on the body, you're talking about bruises, you're talking about bleeding. Now, that has gone beyond the stage of discipline into abuse, into a physical assault. Now, corporal punishment, which is a term for discipline in Nigeria, corporal punishment has always been imbibed in the African culture, even way before before Christianity and Islam came into play. Because if you look at it closely, the Bible says, "Spare the rod and spoil the child," and even some verses in the Quran talks about corporal punishment to correct. So the idea behind corporal punishment is to correct. That is the key word. But what is correction if you have gone beyond the stage where the child no longer sees anything beyond the pain it's going to receive? I'll give you an example. When we were growing up, as children, when we were growing up, once you do something wrong, you know, initially you're like, my parents will beat me. Well, it gets to a stage in your life, like, Shebi is beating, they just beat me. They'll just beat me.
It becomes part of you.
Yes, because psychologically the child is no longer afraid of being corrected. It's just going to take it as part of growing up. And that is no longer correction.
But is that actually right?
Is it right? No. Is it wrong? No.
Wow.
That's why it's a thin line.
Okay.
And that's why most times, like for example, I'll give you an example. In schools, in government schools in Nigeria right now, corporal punishments have been abolished. Yeah. But parents are complaining. I've heard parents actually say that their children are no longer obedient. Their children are no longer disciplined. That the schools were supposed to be a place of learning and discipline, and that aspect of discipline has been taken away. So in government schools, once a child does something wrong, what they would do is ask the parents to go get an affidavit or suspend, and at the long run, Parents,
Like, that's what's going on right now.
yes, right now,
Wow.
in schools right now, in public schools,
Wow.
you can no longer beat any child. Most especially in Lagos State. I know that for a fact. Because there was a particular time, there was this particular boy. He did something very, very wrong in school, and the mother asked me to come along. I went and I was like, okay, beat him. And the principal said, no, we don't beat anymore. So you have to go and get an affidavit of good behavior. I'm like, wow. When I was in school,
Seriously?
when I was in school, I can remember some of my teachers that beat me. So, but the question is, does corporal punishment, does it really discipline a child? Does lack of corporal punishment, does it make a child better? Under the law really is very silent about corporal punishment and
For kids,
for kids. But the Child Right Act just says that a child must not be abused. Now, once you start inflicting pain on the child, like normally swatting of the bum, these are corporal punishment.
Yeah.
But once it gets to the point of you beating a child until there's bruises all over the child's body, like pouring hot water, hot
pepper.
oil, pepper in private, that is abuse. That is no longer correction. You're no longer correcting the child. The child is no longer, all the child is seeing is pain and
hate.
hell.
Yeah.
So much so that the child will ask, is this my father? Is this my mother? Like, why would someone inflict this much pain on me? So, so once it crosses the line of a reasonable man's
Normal correction. Okay.
it is abuse.
All right, thank you. So, okay, now what about the psychological impact on the children in question?
Okay, now I am not a psychologist, so I would not talk. But I think I know a little bit of psychology.
Yeah, sure.
And as an amateur psychologist, and as someone that has been involved in family courts, where you see cases like this coming, the psychological impact on most children is that it creates a generation of timid children, children that cannot talk, children that are caged, that are afraid. And that's why that most times children don't have a relationship with their parents. Because they are afraid of their parents. So if anything happens to them outside of the home, they can't tell the parents because they know that most times the parents would either beat them or disbelieve them and get physical with them. So it creates a dysfunctional home most times. But we cannot take away the fact that sometimes some little light tap on the hands is necessary to correct. But once it crosses that line and enters into abuse, it breaks the child. It creates a vacuum in the heart of the child, and the child is left to start feeling some sort of esteem issues. I'll give an example now. A child that is beaten for any reason,
Just cause.
any slight reason, would always second guess himself all the time. He would always say, I'm not good enough.
I'm wrong.
So there is no way you will see this child come out and be bold and be full of himself or herself, because at every time she's living in the shadow of the fear that my parents would deal with me. So it creates an imbalance in the child, creates a lacuna between parents and child. And all this does not create a well-balanced child. So at the end of the day, by the time you see the child come out, the child is damaged goods. And sometimes you think that life is what it is. So they would always replicate the abuse they've received from home onto others. So that's why you see most times when you see children that are bullies in schools, you trace it back to their homes. Most times, they are always victims of abuse at home.
Okay.
So it is what they've learned from the home front, they reflect and
Yeah.
replicate out
Okay.
to people around them. And it goes all the way. So it's more, so we need to know that when we are disciplining a child, there's a tendency for us to create a psychological problem. And that is what we should be wary of. So, and that's why most people have said, okay, it is proper you have a conversation. Tell the child what you've done is wrong.
This is the reason.
This is
I'm
what you've done, and this is the
correcting
reason why I'm correcting you.
Okay.
When you beat a child, this is why I beat you. This is what you did. So the child understands reward
Yeah.
and punishment.
Yes.
Okay, if I do this, I will be punished. If I do this, I'll be rewarded. So understands good from bad, and that's what should be obtainable.
Okay. Now I hear people say someone said the mother beats her out of sheer frustration. You know that the father is not responsive enough, is not responsible. So because of the hustle and everything, trying to make ends meet for them, she's always like angry. So I find it very funny when I hear stuff like that, because I believe as a parent we should be emotionally strong to be able to handle such issues. So for her, she feels like she wants to sue her mom. So that's the major reason we're having this conversation. She can't come on air to tell the public that her mother is doing this. She's 18. She's above 18. Yeah, she's above 18. And do you think there is any legal backing? Probably the court can give the mom a warning, or probably there's something that can be done for her to...
Definitely. Okay, definitely. Now I have to say this is I want to give the answer based on what ought to be and what is.
Okay.
So I want to do that so we don't miss it. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, ordinarily, she's above 18, so she's no longer a minor.
Okay.
She's an adult. She can walk up to any police station and lay a complaint of assault.
But she did, and
that's why I said what is the police will tell her that your own mother. Yeah, that is which is wrong. It's just the same.
Okay.
I'm very sorry I'm going to have to divert, but this is like the perfect opportunity to say this.
Okay.
The Nigerian police needs to do a reform of its officers, especially those that take in complaints of abuses.
Exactly.
Both sexual and domestic and all, because I have been in a station with a client who came to report an incident of domestic abuse, and the police was trying to justify why the husband was going to beat up his wife.
It's barbaric.
I am actually trying to refrain myself from
getting angry,
but I was mad. Like, why would you? What is your business in trying to justify? You're supposed to be an unbiased umpire.
Exactly.
You're supposed to just receive information and act on it. It is not your duty to be saying that this is what you should do. This is what no. So I know that's why I said what ought to be and what is. Because I knew that the police were going to say that. Why would you go and report your mother?
She's sleeping. The police was even like she's sleeping with somebody.
Around.
That's why the mother is trying to correct her. I mean, it's funny.
It is the society that we have found ourselves in. And it is something that needs to change. Most times, when there are cases of child abuse, it is neighbors that report on behalf of the child.
The child, yeah, true.
They report to the authority, and authority swings into action.
Yeah.
But it is very rare for the child to walk up and report, because you're thinking of
what they would say.
What happens? Where would you go? What happens to you as a child? Where's your next meal coming from? Because if your parents that's feeding you, you go to report them.
She even said she has the opportunity of running away from home, probably going to stay with her boyfriend or something. But because of the respect she has for her mom, she decides
running
to stay.
Running away from home is not.
But why do you have to take out your frustration on a young lady?
Now the thing is this: it is scary, but it is true.
Okay.
People always transfer aggression. It is wrong, but it is what is happening. You see mothers frustrated with their husbands taking it on their defenseless children. You see fathers frustrated from work because they cannot talk back to their boss, take it out on the wife and the children. It's a power dynamic play. It's always a show of power. Psychologically, it's just most times we always take out our frustrations, our anger on people that cannot defend themselves. So that's why you see.
Sorry to cut you. There's this scenario just played in my head. So is that the reason some parents, like some folks, will just decide to focus on one particular child, and in the eyes of everybody, that child is the black sheep of the family? The other children are doing things that are obviously wrong.
It is. See, it's a whole lot of stuff. Okay, I'll give you an example now.
Okay.
If the child is the first child, in their mind, they're trying to use the child to set a correction to others.
Please.
In their mind. So, okay, they're saying that, okay, if I should
Mold
hold this one,
yeah,
others will either fall into line or learn from him
and not make some
and
sensible
not,
mistakes.
so it's a pack mentality. It's a wolf pack mentality, and it's sometimes it works because like I'll give an example. I was a very black sheep in the house. I think I received most of the beatings of the house because I was equally quite stubborn as a child. So no hard feelings.
Obviously.
So it was like a give and take thing. So, but the thing is that my younger ones were able to know that, okay, this is what this bros did that it got beaten.
Yeah.
So
let
let's not do this one.
Yeah.
So it was working. Then growing up, when my parents became old, my last born was like the baby of the house.
Just go scot-free.
Go scot-free. I like.
Sorry, your last born's life matters. Sorry.
The onus falls on me to now correct the child the way I was corrected.
Maybe, I have a lot of problems. I cannot be dealing with this. I'm not.
So the onus falls. So once the call me, your younger brothers are like, but you were there. When I was doing the same thing, you were not this soft with me. So I think age catch up with them and all. So I understand. But it's always trying to see how they can use one person to teach others a lesson. And it happens everywhere in life. It's not just parents. It happens even in workplaces where you see some bosses just hold on to one person.
And that person is like a scapegoat.
That's the word, scapegoat. So the scapegoat is only, there are so many goats, but there's a scapegoat.
No.
So it happens all the time. Yeah. So we should just try to understand that if we continue to do that, we create a larger problem for the society because it's a ripple effect. It ripples through the fabric of the society. So what happens in the little corner of our houses has a lasting effect at the larger fabric.
Okay.
So we should understand that because the unit of the society is a family. Okay. So what is obtainable in the family is what is in the larger society.
Okay, so this girl in particular should just deal with it.
No, I think what she can do is that she can actually get a lawyer and report her mom if she wants to. Wow. But she should understand that there's this Yoruba saying that you cannot go to court and come back as friends. So, but
because the whole family meeting.
Yeah,
she tried the police on. There was a family.
There will be family meeting that this child wants to kill me.
This family meeting did not just consist of mother and her siblings.
All the relatives,
the ones that were in village, they called them.
Yes, they will call.
This girl decided to disgrace our ancestors by taking our mother to the police, and the mother started crying. That's how she used to beat her.
Oh, trust me, mothers can be very dramatic. Hello, mommy, how are you?
Seriously, no.
Mothers can be very dramatic.
I don't like that drama.
No, trust me, you will still do it too. if yes, like I know that for a fact. Like if your mom wants to slap you and you
do like
and you
this.
block, or you dodge.
No.
You have killed,
you
you have killed them. You have finished them.
Okay.
So
I believe she'll be watching and
yes, I think she should actually just
Okay.
we can do. She can get a lawyer that write a letter to the mom, informing the mom of the rights of our child, informing the mother of the limitations that she has
yeah.
over the child, and informing the mother of the steps that she can take against the mother.
Okay.
I think most times parents don't realize that these children know their rights. So they always try to exploit and take advantage, just like every Nigerian situation. But once they realize that, trust me, the mothers here in Nigeria, if they travel to the US or the UK, they do not do what they do there too, because they know that if you go and try that there, and they call police, 911, social service will carry children and go, you lost the child again. So they comport themselves there. Why can't they comport themselves here?
I think it still has to do with the African mentality.
In the society, yes.
Society
You're correct.
Yeah. So thank you very much for having us today.
Thank you for having me.
I learned so much.
It's been amazing. It's been
So
amazing.
much.
It's been an amazing conversation.
This is Real Life Just on Real Entertainment. Please, you can like and follow all our social media handles showing on your screen. And don't forget, you can always report a domestic violence, any abuse. You can always report.
You should report.
You should report. You should never keep quiet about it. It's not something somebody should just ignore, because one way or the other we are affected, and it affects generations to come. This is Melissa Josie signing out. Peace.